I'm coming out of my shell. Thank you for watching. My name is Scott Layton, and this is my 2025 reveal video. If you've watched my channel for any time, you know that I haven't done a face video probably in about 2 years. So I wanted to go and discuss that on this video, and also discuss why I've returned to the camera and what I want to do with the channel moving forward, at least in the short term. There's going to be a lot of changes coming very, very soon, but I'll discuss some of those later. So, as you can see from the earlier footage I showed, I've lost quite a bit of weight. At one point in time during the pandemic, I was up to 320 pounds, and now I'm down to 207 this morning. I wasn't comfortable in front of the camera because of my weight. The same reason why I was afraid to go to the gym. I was just too ashamed of myself, to be honest with you. Most of my adult life, I've been around 185, and one thing just led to another, and I just kept gaining weight. It all started before my mom died in 2023. She was in the hospital about 5 years ago, and at that point, we didn't think she was going to make it. I basically made a bargain with myself that I wasn't going to be worrying about what I was eating or worrying about going to the gym. I was just going to dedicate all of my free time to visiting my mom and helping her in any way I could. But then something else happened. I ended up breaking my ankle, and then the pandemic hit, and it got progressively worse. So one decision I made ended up impacting a good 4 or 5 years of my life. And if any of you have ever been overweight, you know how difficult it is to lose it. Well, I finally got to that point, and I, as promised, I'm coming back to the camera. I wanted to do this because so many of you have watched my earlier videos and haven't seen me, and also for all of you who've watched all of my faceless videos, at which point now I have over 2,000 videos total on my channel. I wanted you to see who was talking behind the camera and put myself in front of it. So you had some context as to who I am, what this channel is about, and what I'm trying to convey here, and the purpose and mission. So that's today's video. I wanted to explain that I just wasn't comfortable, and as you can see, the production value of this video leaves a lot to be desired. I have a lot more to learn. There are so many different skill sets involved in YouTube that you really have to be a polymath to be able to do this correctly. And I tried to utilize different tool sets to make my videos interesting. For example, my new art house series, I've tried to go and include cinematic flair to, some animations, some AI. You'll also see some of my videos using new music that I've written, some of them in different styles and different genres. And I try to do the whole tool set because I think it's important to be able to teach history and civics and human interaction and philosophy through the lens of cinema. That is the purpose of this YouTube channel, to convey thoughts that I wouldn't be able to necessarily do just by talking to you in a video like this. It's a labor of love. I'm not really making... I think last month I made $23 from YouTube, to be honest with you. But it's important for people right now to be authentic, to speak the truth, especially to power with everything that's happening in America today and around the world. So I'm putting myself out there. I'm not necessarily completely comfortable behind a camera or in front of it, but I think it's important to be able to do that. And for what I want to accomplish on this channel, I really needed to get out of my shell and get comfortable with speaking to you face to face. There's just so much happening in the world today that we're not comfortable with, that we have no background with, that hasn't happened in our lifetimes. And because of that, I think it's important to have someone like myself, people who are interested in chronicling what's happening and take it with the context of what's happened before and how history can impact the present, as well as what comes next. What do we plan in the next 10, 20, 30 years, or generations later? What are we leaving for future generations, our posterity, our legacy? I call this channel the Renaissance Spirit because I think it's time for a reflourishing, a rebirth of culture and thinking that is sorely needed. As I've talked about in some of my other videos, so many people today are just so overwhelmed, so overworked, so overwrought that they don't know how to process a lot of this information. And it's important to be able to put it all in perspective. What is going on? Has this happened before? How do we deal with this? So all of my videos, no matter what unrelated, seemingly topics there are, they all come around those topics and those connections. All of my videos are related in that respect. But I've realized that having created so many of them, I've put some videos in multiple different playlists, and it's just become so hard for you as a viewer to find what I'm trying to accomplish. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but the point is, I guess you could say in a lot of respects, I just wasn't happy with who I was above and beyond the weight issue. I've felt since, especially 2016, the world has changed, and then the pandemic came, and we all ended up starting to question things that we never really started questioning before. For example, the idea of working from home. For most of us, that was a relatively new thing. Whether or not we needed to be as dependent on cart culture, when we couldn't shop in stores, questions of whether or not we needed to think about consumerism. I think that those questions and the realization that came with it, we deserve more, is what caused so many people to vote for either a Bernie Sanders or a Donald Trump. Whether you agree with either of them, they were offering something different in their messages. And I think many Americans found that idea of something new, something different, more to be a valid argument for them. So they were both coalescing around different ideas, mind you, but they both had broad, big goals. And as you can see from Trump, he's accomplished many of the things that he set out to do, whether you agree with him or not. And we discussed that in detail in a lot of my videos, so please peruse. Similar to what I was saying with the Renaissance wasn't just a period of time separate from everything that happened before. It's all related. Whether you go back to the fall of the Roman Empire and to what led to that, to the medieval ages, to the Black Death. The Black Death preceded the Renaissance, and that led to a lot of changes. But let's talk about what the Black Death was again, for those who might not remember. A lot of Europe died during the Black Death. the infrastructure completely changed. The rules of society had completely changed. People wanted more out of life, the survivors. And in many ways, they got that. We went from being feudal civilizations to more freedom. In a lot of cases, people were allowed to go and get jobs outside of their lord's manor for the first time or off the lord's property. They were able to go and get different jobs. They were able to make more money. And a lot of this changed more freedom, more free time, and the ability to explore art and sciences and the human condition. The Renaissance was the birth of classical humanism. Today we face a very similar experience, having just come down from the pandemic. Technically, I think we're still in the pandemic, but a lot of our previous assumptions have been torn asunder. And you see two different camps in most of the world today. The camp who wants everything to return to what it was, and you have a camp who wants things to be better for everyone. More equality, more freedom, more choice, but also understanding the consequences of our action, understanding where we fit in to the collective. What is our contribution to society? What do we want for our children? As you can tell from that example, I'm certainly on the one camp versus the other. And because of things like AI, things like climate change, things like the erosion of our democracy, this isn't just a nice to have. This is something that can make or break society at this point. Things aren't going to go back to the way they were. Whether or not you thought that that was great the way things were, there's always a tendency for people to look back with nostalgia on how things were. In America, often people, especially whites, look back at the 1950s, but they forget the segregation that happened. They forget the erasure of Native American culture and identity. And as you can tell, the way Trump is building his great America has nothing to do with anything that's come before. This channel is for people who want a different perspective. This channel is for people who want more out of life, who want to be more than they are, to transcend. And one of the hardest things about creating this channel, to be honest with you, is working a full-time job and doing the videos. I'm not actually putting a lot of these practices in place. And when I came up with that realization a couple of weeks ago, I was like, what do I need to do to help myself become a better Renaissance person, a better Renaissance spirit? So moving forward, in addition to creating videos specifically for you, the audience, I'm going to go and chronicle my own journey of becoming a Renaissance spirit. It's going to be long. It's going to be arduous. There are going to be times I'm questioning myself, and at which point I will expect you, the audience, to let me know what you think. Because we don't often step out of our shells if we realize we're even in them. You could also use an example or an analogy of a sphere or bubble. We're all stuck in our life to a degree. until we realize that we have the ability to change things. Of course, for most of us, it's difficult with work obligations or financial constraints or family obligations. Many of us aren't able to do that. And for a unique point in my life, I think I'm able to do that for myself. So I'm going to be doing more reading, more meditating, more art. I'm going to try to understand the human condition better. Those are the things that this channel will be focusing on, and I will be doing it through a lens not only of history, but how it impacts us using different genres, including AI, including music. And I hope that resonates with many of you. So in these in-person vlogs, I'm going to be discussing some of the things that I'm thinking about, what I'm going through in my life, who I am, to better understand you. I would hope that you can feel comfortable enough to do the same things in the comments. And I'll also be doing videos in the future with live streams and chats so that you can actually speak and let us know what you're thinking in real time as well. So for the next part of this video, I'm going to discuss some of the channels changes that I'm going to be making coming soon, or in the process of already making. First, the playlists. Every video of mine is going to be moved over into one playlist, and one only, just to make things easier for you all to find. And since this is a channel dedicated to the Renaissance and everything that that conveys, I'm going to be breaking the videos into playlists based off of things like mind, body, soul, relationships, community, time management, leisure, relaxation, and transcendence. There's 10 altogether. I'll post the link in the descriptions for each once I create them. It's going to be a labor of love and time consuming because, like I said, I have 2,000 videos, but I'm going to start that process this weekend. Currently, by the way, it's the 26th of July. In addition to those playlists, any of the regular series I've created, things like My Life as a Roman Emperor or my art house productions, will be in their own specific playlists and will not be part of the other playlists. So I think that organization will make it easier. And if you're specifically in a mood for a type of video, like if you're looking for something talking about memory or cognition, then you know to go to the mind playlist. If you're in the mood for something more contemplative and more meditative, you might go to the soul playlist. Based off of whatever your mood is. A lot of these videos are related, and again, because so much of it has to do with the context and intersectionality of several topics, I could easily put them in more than one. That's why I had in the past. But to make things easier, I think having one video per playlist makes sense. In addition to that, I've started one new series, which I'm very excited about. It's called Art Speaks. And what I'm doing in that series is I'm discussing the mythos, the history, as well as the art history and art appreciation of a particular piece of art. The first episode in the series, we discussed theorics from ancient Greece. And I gave a quick intro, and the rest of the video was done using AI with theorics being the narrator. Kind of soliloquy, if you will. So if you haven't checked out that yet, please do so. Let me know if I'm going in the right direction, the right track. And I think it's a really cool video. If you like Greek myth, if you like history, if you like Vesuvius, or want to know more about Pompeii, watch this video. It's all discussed, all from Felix's standpoint. The next new series I'm going to start is related to my life as a Roman emperor, and it's called A Day in the Life. Each respective emperor will give you a narrated tale of what a day in the life was like for them. And I'm going to start off with Caligula. Caligula is probably, to me at least, one of the most fascinating of all emperors. And the thing that most people don't understand is that until he was ill, conceivably poisoned by a family member, he was a just and kind ruler and a good person. To not understand how a poisoning or an illness impacted his life makes it impossible to understand who he was. And I think I conveyed that in my Caligula video, but understanding what it was like on a day-to-day basis for an emperor, I think will give us a lot more nuance as to what life was like for them, what the experience was to be an emperor, how trust became such an issue. What was it like for Caligula after being poisoned by a family member? How can you trust anyone after that? And these are the questions that I want to bring up. So it's both history from the perspective of a person, but also to understand the day-to-day. So human emotion, human behavior, mixed with history, that's the purpose of this new series. And I hope that in combination with my life as a Roman emperor, it gives you a deeper dive into history like never before. There's going to be some other new shows coming up very, very soon. I will introduce them in turn. I want to keep some of them under my hat until I get the concept and the formulas correct. But what I would eventually like to do is a different series or different video a day. So Thursday might be my videos for Art Speaks. My vlog videos might be on Saturdays. I haven't completely finished the schedule yet, but that's coming soon, and I'll discuss that more in my next in-person video. But there's a lot of changes coming. And all around the idea that I want to become the Renaissance person that I'm trying to convey in these videos. I'm going to need a lot of work. I'm going to need some art direction. I'm going to need some lighting. And I'm going to need your patience as things move forward. But until then, if you're not interested in watching these vlogs, you absolutely don't have to. You can just watch the faceless videos to your heart's content. Or if you want to just watch the vlogs, completely understandable. However, if you do wish to understand where I'm coming from, it's important to watch the faceless videos as well. All of my videos have my imprint. They are a testimony of what I'm feeling at any given point in time and what I think is important to convey to you, my audience. Again, from a perspective. I often finish the week after having watched the news looking for a explainer, a way of understanding what's happened. And for me, the thing that I usually turn to is Brooks and Capehart from the PBS NewsHour. They release a video on every Friday on YouTube. There's just so much going on. It's important for us to frame the moment and decide together what comes next and what we want for ourselves and what we want for the world we live in. Things are getting bad quickly, guys. And I know that a lot of us don't have the energy or the wherewithal to deal with it all. So hopefully, by creating these videos, I help you to explore those topics. And my goal, hopefully in 50 to 100 years, people come back to my channel and say, this is what was happening in the world at this time. Hopefully this becomes history itself. So those are my thoughts and reflections for today's video. I want to create these with an outline, but just talk with you. So these are very unscripted, at least for the time being, unless I change my format, which if I do, I'll let you know. But to conclude today, I want to share a song with you that I think encapsulates my mood at the moment. And it talks about being one's own voice. For the longest time, I didn't feel comfortable speaking to people. I'm what one would call an introvert with extroversion tendencies that I can get away with being extrovert, in other words, but it's not something that comes easy to me. I've always been one of those shy kids growing up. And the most male attention I think I ever had was when I was a kid, 5 or 6, being beaten up by a group of guys. So I've always had difficulty connecting to people in general. Individuals were fine, but groups in particular I've had a problem with my whole life. So for someone like me to do videos like this is really coming out of my shell. But again, with everything that's happening, with so many tipping points in the world right now, I think we all have to speak. We all have to let everyone else know what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and how these changes that are happening right now, most of which currently are negative, are impacting us and what we think about it. If I can speak out, so can you. To that end, I hope you enjoy the song. Let me know what you think. If you enjoy the song, please go and check out my other music playlist and my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. Live the Renaissance spirit.
Used to drift like wood on tide. No map, no fire, just waves to hide. Silent throat, small and unsure. Humble heart, but never pure. The tide don't wait for feet that freeze. The storm speaks truth with no appeal. I am the voice I need. No more drifting out to sea. I call the wind, I call the lead. I am the voice, yeah, I'm finally me. I rise, I rise. I rise, I rise. Used to kneel to second guess, let others sail. I said I'm less Stars don't guide if you won't see, and ropes don't hold unless they're made. The tide don't wait for fear to speak, and I ain't soft, just quiet deep.